Blessed be you, harsh matter, barren soil, stubborn rock, you who yield only to violence, you who force us to work should we eat. These are the opening lines from Teilhard de Chardin's prayer, Hymn to Matter, and I recently began a workshop with this prayer, and at the conclusion of the workshop, after my presentation, after Q&A and all that good stuff, a woman comes up to me and she expresses an issue with the inclusion of the word and the concept of violence within Teilhard's prayer, in terms of violence being a necessary part of our engagement and relationship with matter, and how this whole systematic process of evolution comes about. This process of becoming is unfolding. And my response to her was that I understand, her perspective to a degree where within especially the framework of a Christian ethos, this is something that is kind of odd. Yet when we consider from maybe an observational, as the word, standpoint, how much violence is really occurring within our everyday lives. Not I'm talking about human on human violence within the world, or us doing terrible things to the planet, animals, things like that. But in terms of just the creation process, whereby you have the breakdown and destruction of stars in order to birth new star systems, whereby, in order to eat, like Teilhard says, we must engage with and work the land. We planted a potato garden here this year, and we essentially took a sod cutter, scalped the earth, ripped up all that beautiful green untreated grass, and then took a spade and by hand spaded the earth, or shovel rather, spaded the earth, and broke it up in a violent act to incorporate mushroom compost. And then again, we just dug in and violently turned that all and incorporated and mixed it so that we could have our beautiful potato crop. Now I said to this woman that too, if you were to consider our own personal growth physically, anatomically, in terms of exercising, when we are to especially engage in some sort of strength building exercise, we are typically breaking down parts of our muscles, causing small rips, tears, bleeds, things like that. And the woman's like, well, if you're working with an experienced, skilled trainer, they would know not to have you do those sorts of exercises that would be having you have muscle rips and bleeds and things like that. And I don't know if she was taking me on a more macro literal level where you see the blood in your muscles, but it's it's on a very small level these things are happening. But I would think that any skilled, educated trainer knows that this is part and parcel for the process. Whereby in some degrees our minds are triggered, is the word, right, by this notion of violence. We forget how it often plays an essential part. Death, decay, chaos within the becoming whole that creation is engaging us in. So we have a living tree, right? Yet we have this branch of a couple 100 pounds that is decaying, dead, and fell off a couple weeks ago. It was a very violent act. I assisted it in a way, but it was ultimately this loud crack and snap and pop, and then a thud when this thing violently fell to the earth. But just allowed us to see the life that was teeming within it, with all the different fungi and moss and lichen and bugs, of course, in there. There's more life in a dead log than there is within a living tree.